Tuesday, June 10th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights Tuesday. Tonight we talk about Super Dodgeball and Super Dodgeball Brawlers.
Let's do this. So as soon as we start doing the show twice a week, because, we're sort of running out of things to talk about and losing steam.
No, I don't think
the steam bucket fills up crazily.
See, that just proves what I'd suspected all along. It's not that we're running out of things to talk about. Far be it. That's not even on the table as one of the reasons why we had to slow down the show temporarily. I think it's just that we don't have enough time to be awake enough to do the show the way we'd want if we continue to do it 4 nights a week. But because we're doing it at this reduced schedule now, I still have all the stuff I want to say, but I don't have enough shows to say it in.
It's definitely kind of just, I don't know if it's ironic or not, but we haven't done a show in 6 days, which I think is the longest
It's like rain on your wedding day.
Yeah, it's the longest stretch of no shows in quite a very long time. And suddenly we've got Mocha to talk about, we've got iPhones to talk about, we've got shit all over the place that's happening everywhere in all of geekdom.
I think what it really
we've only got
proves-
2 shows, and none of them, we really needed a Monday show, but we didn't have one.
I think what it really proves is that the only thing preventing Geek Nights from being 4 nights a week is the fact that we have day jobs.
Yes, that could be true.
If Geek Nights was somehow my job, you can bet that there would be like 10 shows a week.
I don't know, 10 shows, but there would be 4 Geek Night shows and maybe other shows in addition.
Well, yeah, not 10 Geek Nights. There'd be 10 shows. One of them would be Rim.
I mean, there aren't 10 nights. We can't do 10 Geek Nights without 10 nights anyway. I mean, unless suddenly we add, the 3 extra days to the week, Scott Day, Scotter Day, and Catter Day.
Catter Day's already a day. It comes after Friday and before Friday.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I have another quick announcement. We'll have a lot more about this in the upcoming weeks and, I don't know, months. It's not like it's exactly on the near horizon, but we've said before and we're saying again, Geek Nights is going to the Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle this summer.
We're going no matter what. We will be there, West Coast
realize,
people.
Maybe just because I've been dealing with emails and stuff a lot lately, but I almost said Penny Arcade is coming to Geek Nights. Then I realized that is not in any way true.
I wish that was true.
But no, not only are we going to be at PAX, and I'm going to talk a lot more about this once we confirm a few of the special details that are not quite public yet. But we're not just going to PAX as Rim and Scott. We're going to PAX as Rim and Scott VIPs because we're totally running a panel.
Awesome. One panel gets you VIP status. That's pretty cool.
I got to say, Penny Arcade, the most professional conventions in terms of dealing with us as like guests or as staff or as talent or panelists or anything like that. Otacon's way up there. Like, they're really good at that. And Katsucon does a pretty good job. But the Penny Arcade Expo has far and away, with the possible exception of the for-profit New York Comic-Con, New York Anime Festival, been the most professional in terms of their dealings with us.
I don't know. From what I'm feeling is that I think they're twice as professional as the New York Anime Festival Comic-Con.
No, because it's a different kind. The New York Comic-Con, Anime Fest, and all that are like, we are professional we are making money off of this way, and everything has to be perfect.
But I mean, you said they replied to the email in like 10 minutes.
Well, that's not necessarily a sign of professionalism.
Yes, it is.
No, because I can tell you this, and like at IBM, if you responded to an email right away, and you did this all the time, it was pretty much assumed that you weren't doing your real work and were just kind of dicking around in your office, which was usually true.
But what if your job is email?
No one's job is email.
It is if you're like,
no one.
At a convention.
I'll tell you a little bit about IBM's corporate culture. And this is not an indictment of IBM because most large tech companies are like this. I gained an average of 10 to 40 unread emails a day. Now, that doesn't mean I got 40 emails a day. That means of the emails I got every day, 10 to 40 of them I did not read. And that meant that they never got read.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that if you're, say, the panels person for a convention that only happens, like one weekend out of the year, your primary work is mostly reading and writing emails. And then, other than that, it's like figuring things out on paper.
I can say this. This is the second time that a panel person has responded to me with the phrase, "We would be honored." I am very happy about this. But no, the panel we are running will involve Dungeons and Dragons in some way and other tabletop role-playing systems, but I'm going to be sparse on the details until we finalize more of them. I'll leave it at that. But we are going to be at Penny Arcade Expo in a big way, and I highly recommend you all be there.
Yeah, and since we won't have any tables or anything like that, we're pretty much going to run this panel, and the rest of the time, woo!
The PAX is pretty much the only con for a long time where not only will you be able to see us do something, but you'll have a chance of hanging out with us or talking to us for more than 30 seconds.
Oh, and it's Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
Oh, and we're probably going to fly out like Wednesday night, so if anyone like Thursday wants to chill in Seattle, that's what we're going to be doing.
Yes, and to all the people who try to see us at all these anime cons like Katsucon and Kineticon, it won't be like that where you like see us running by and you yell, "Hey." We'll actually have time to chill.
Yep. I don't know what else to say about it right now, except for...
I'm excited. When I heard...
Except for now, all the West Coast people can shut up, because, like, hey, we come to the West Coast. Now,
No.
You
Penny...
can't say, oh, the East Coast is too far. I can't come over there.
Meanwhile, two certain people who do a webcomic copped out of coming to Otakon and then don't really come to the East Coast. So we're bringing it to you.
They went to the Baltimore Comic-Con a couple times.
Yeah,
I think,
they did.
But whatever.
Baltimore Comic-Con would just be depressing. As much as I like comics, just
one room out of the whole Baltimore.
Being at the Baltimore Convention Center and not having the entire convention center would be frightening.
It would be quiet and eerie, I believe.
Not just that, the fact that you go to Otakon, and it's not just like...
It'd be sort of like, I imagine it'd be sort of like, Thursday Reg at Otakon, where it's sort of like activity in one area, but the rest of the thing is like...
But even then, Thursday Reg at Otakon has like 10,000 people standing outside making a ruckus.
Yeah, well, they're outside, but, it's like the feeling in the convention center would be similar.
See, to me, I think being at any convention at the BCC like that's so small, would be like when I was a kid.
Well, first of all, it's not worth the trip to Baltimore.
Even though Baltimore's not that far.
It's still too far for a tiny convention.
It's not much further. Actually, it's about the same distance all told as getting to Rochester.
Yeah, Rochester's not worth it for a tiny convention either.
No, except Toricon, but that's a very near and dear to our heart convention.
I only went to it once.
I've been to almost all of them. I founded the thing that eventually was gotten rid of and replaced by the thing that became Toricon. I can say that much. But I think being at like the BCC on one of those small cons would be like when I was a kid and I was at Cedar Point, and I'd be in the fantasy land of I am in roller coaster heaven. But then I'd be at the top of the roller coaster, and there's that kind of moment of pause between when the click, 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 click stops before you go over the edge. When I'd look to my left, and I'd see over Lake Erie all the normal people in their normal buildings working. And the real world would like intrude into my happiness for that brief second. It's like seeing the janitor when you're at an amusement park.
But the janitor's usually like in a costume or something.
Depends on the amusement park.
I guess.
Wildwood's janitors are usually, well, anyway. We'll leave it at that. It's
They're wearing
Video Game
janitor
Day.
suits.
So I'm going to get right into this. This is not my news, but I have to say something about this. We can now look at the cover for Soul Calibur 4. And I think Kotaku said it better than I ever could have said. Rest in peace, Soul Calibur, 1998 to 2008.
Wrong. I'm saying wrong, which means you think I might disagree that Soul Calibur is dead.
No, you're saying that it died long before, and then we finally buried it.
You are wise.
I guess it got chivoed? I don't know.
Soul Calibur 3, I mean, some people say it's okay, but I highly doubt that Soul Calibur 3 is anything like Soul Calibur 2. So as far as I'm concerned...
Soul Calibur 3 was not a bad game. It was just not better than 2.
Yeah, so...
And yet if you want
as far as I'm concerned, Soul Calibur died.
I know. People out there right now are going, oh, Rim Scott, you don't know anything. You know what? The majority of people out there are going, huh, yeah. And if you need any proof of that, go to any convention, right? Katsucon was a good example. You'll see a lot more people playing Soul Calibur 2 than Soul Calibur 3.
Yeah, plus Soul Calibur 3 wasn't on, every system like 2 was, which really actually hurt it in a ways.
Yeah.
But Soul Calibur, Soul Edge, the business. Soul Calibur, the business. Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, the business. Soul Calibur 2,
possibly
the double business.
I'm not going to say it's the best.
It's the best 3D fighting game ever.
I don't know if I'd say that because it's very...
What's better?
I don't know.
3D fighting games.
See,
Actually, it can't be one of those 3D fighting games like Virtua Fighter 1 that wasn't actually 3D, it just looked 3D.
what about Bushido Blade 3?
Bushido Blade's not good.
I don't get
And it's definitely not as good as Soul Calibur 2.
Well, one, fuck you, and two, but no, the cover of Soul Calibur 4. All right, it's got Darth Vader on it.
Yep.
Like it is actually Darth Vader.
See, usually this is the kind of it's weird, right? It's like when someone throws a character like that in there.
If I was 14, no. If I was 13, this would be the best. Like I would be so
but
excited
think about it. When they
this
put
game.
Link in there, everyone was like, "Hell's yeah!" And that sort of encouraged them to do that again. And they basically went straight for the throat.
No,
so
you
to
know what
speak.
they did.
They went
you
for the.
know what they did in the immortal words of Rama Sharma. They tried to do too much with it.
They sure did. They basically said, "Well, putting Link in there worked. Let's just go for the biggest guns we can."
Now-
Darth Vader, you can't get much bigger guns than that.
It's been a while, so I should probably explain the Rama Sharma you tried to do too much with it. Very briefly. So at IBM, there's this awesome dude named Rama Sharma, and I worked with him. He was awesome. He was Indian, and he played tennis, and he was all cool. And I usually went to lunch with him and the Unix Santa. But whenever we played tennis, or actually whenever anything was happening, anytime someone obviously did something that reeked of effort, or tried to do more than they probably should have tried to do. Like, we're in a tennis match, and I could have just hit it. I could have just hit it over the net. But no, I tried to slam it over the net, and instead, I slammed it into the net and lost the game. He would look at me, and he'd put his finger out, and he'd waggle it in my face, and he'd say, you know what your problem is, you see? You tried to do too much with it. Had you done less, you might have made it, but no, you tried to do too much, and I got the point, and you lose.
Yep. If you try to do a fancy move, but that causes you to fail in a situation where you could have pulled off the simple move that would have guaranteed non-failure, that is when you tried to do too much with it. So
Darth Vader, too much.
That's too much. Basically, the thing is, why didn't they realize, right, that in the Soul Calibur 2, when they threw in the extra characters, that people only liked the Link. People hated the Spawn and the whatever his face was, right? And
now
why didn't they?
Was that more a product of the fact that Link is so independently popular, coupled with the fact that it was like the first fighting game on the GameCube?
I think that might have had. There are many factors for the reasons why Link was accepted and people were overjoyed at that inclusion. However, why didn't they just put out like a little focus group about this Darth Vader Yoda thing before they did it?
It's one of those things where Link is like, all right, I kind of understand, and it did work. But it just, even when I heard that Darth Vader and Yoda were going to be in Soul Calibur, I didn't think it was a joke. I assumed it was a joke. I was absolutely sure that it was fake. And then until it was actually officially announced, I did not even consider it.
Well, we talked about that for quite a while.
Yes.
For Not Your News.
So anyway, the cover to Soul Calibur 4 is epically fail.
It is quite the epic fail. All right. So,
also, the lightsaber should be cutting through that sword. Good God, anyway.
anyway, if we did a Monday show yesterday, we probably would have talked about iPhones and such for a long time.
I'm probably going to buy one.
I'm probably going to also, but more on that on a Monday.
I have my BlackBerry, and I'm going to get rid of it. I've had it for, 6 months?
That's all right. You didn't pay for it.
Nah.
Regardless, I can talk about iPhones today because they announced many games for the new iPhones, you see. And let's see, they got the Monkey Ball. They got this other game called Pangea. The company is Pangea Software. They have a game called Enigmo, and there's a game called Chromag Rally, right? And basically what's going on here...
Wait, Chromag's like the thing that ruined sliders?
I don't know.
Is that a sliders game?
I don't know.
Did they just not realize?
I think it's a racing game of like cavemen. Like Cro-Magnon.
No.
I'm not sure. I didn't look at it. All I see is the name here, all right? But basically, the iPhone is looking to be sort of a gaming platform, right? And how I think this is going to go, right, is first of all, this is not competing with DSs and PSPs, all right? Even though the graphics look better than DS, but a little less than PSP, right? This is not competing in those marketplaces. What this is competing with, right, is not so much games on other cell phones, because people buy games for whatever cell phone they have, right? it's competing for the developers of cell phone games. You see, the people whose job it is to make cell phone games, right, are going to choose to, instead of making a Java cell phone game, they are going to choose instead to make an iPhone cell phone game or both.
I choose you.
All right, but the iPhone has features such as touchscreen and accelerometers where people are going to make iPhone cell phone games that are not going to work in any other phone. And thus, all these developers of cell phone games spend their time making iPhone games. Other cell phones won't have so many games. The iPhone will look pretty hot compared to those other cell phones.
Never mind the fact that I was told that I could have the Cisco VPN and an SSH client.
Yeah. Now, here's one thing about the iPhone games that sort of make me a little iffy here. And I'm probably not going to buy any iPhone games, even if some of them are pretty good. Basically, a lot of these games are using the accelerometers in the iPhones so that you can sort of tilt it, right? And you might think that makes sense, especially for Monkey Ball, the first game they showed, right?
But my one concern is, much like trying to play certain games on the DS in public places, you either feel stupid or end up waggling around like an idiot.
No, that's not my concern. No. My concern is that notice how the DS uses the touchscreen only, whereas the Wii has the waggling, right? If you put the waggling in the DS, this problem happens in that while you waggle, you're actually waggling the screen at the same time. That's going to make for a very bad game. If I have to tilt the screen forward to move the monkey ball forward, and now I can't see the screen, problem. Hello.
Yeah, but
Not good.
At the same time, you could. I feel like that sort of control could be used subtly to great effect. But if overused, well, you're trying to do too much with it.
It would require a great deal of calibration to make sure that you don't have to move the screen very far, but then you have these very tight controls that might be too tight, so it's going to be really tricky there. But I guess touchscreen games could be fun. A little touchscreen Tetris could be okay if you're bored or whatever, but really, if I'm looking for gaming, I'll just whip up my DS. The iPhone won't have the sort of local wireless multiplayer the DS has. It won't have the two screens the DS has.
Yes, and remember, the touch screen is not what made the DS amazing, at least not to people like us.
You won't have the tactile, arrows and buttons the DS has, which are essential for many, many games.
Yes, but the thing is, what could be really, really good on the iPhone would be adventure games.
Like a little Phoenix Wright would be okay.
And real-time or turn-based strategy games.
That'd be okay.
And because that sort of interface, games where it's not... There's different idioms of game control, and the idioms like Mario games and platformers and that sort of thing won't work at all because you really do need those buttons. But idioms like I have menus and I'm clicking on things work real well, which is all good for Rim, who thought Gemfire was one of the best games ever.
A Phoenix Wright would work, and say an Advance Wars might work. The thing is, right, even with an Advance Wars, the single player would be okay. Multiplayer, no go, unless they set up some sort of Bluetooth gaming, which I don't think is going to be fast enough. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
Or some sort of ad hoc Wi-Fi. I don't know, but
the DS completely a win for at least for me personally was the local wireless. Everything else is just okay, whatever. But the local wireless revolutionized gaming for me.
I mean, they could theoretically do a local wireless because it does have Wi-Fi in it.
Yes, and you know what?
Is that going to disconnect you from the internets? And then maybe they could do internet Wi-Fi, which actually be pretty cool. I doubt they're going to let you play games live over the 3G, even if it's possible. Because they don't want you using up all that crazy bandwidth or whatever, because they're assholes. But yeah, iPhone gaming might be something. I think the iPhone would be a hit in terms of gaming is if someone who made like MMOs, right? Let's say Blizzard made like not a full-on World of Warcraft client for the iPhone, but sort of like a mini World of Warcraft client where like you could do a few World of Warcraft things on your iPhone. So like the crazy addicts, that would make mad monies. Not that I want that, but that'd make mad monies.
Right. So I actually have some news. Luckily, we don't need to talk about it for a long time. I think you all know my opinions on this. And also...
Coming around to the Scott side of things there?
Huh?
Don't just keep going.
No, because the thing is, I don't think that this hurts the thing that it is being applied to in any way.
Oh, it hurts it in one sense, and it helps it in another sense.
The reason I don't want to talk about it a lot is because while... this is totally a rumor, and I didn't...
Is it? I thought it was real.
Where did you see that?
I don't know. I just sort of saw words on the internet.
Yes, I've seen words about this all over the place. However, I did not look too deeply into finding out if it is true or not, because the original thing I read way back was based mostly on a couple of screenshots and some other speculation.
Ah, okay.
Speculation.
All right, so this is now rumor land.
This may have been verified since I looked, but going 2 nights a week does not mean I'm going to put any more due diligence into my news than I have before.
There you go.
However,
that's the spirit.
I'm going to talk about.
Don't try to do too much with it.
You know what? I think you're trying to do too much with it too much, and thus are trying to do too much with it. Perhaps.
Indeed.
So, quiet.
You're trying to do too much with the...
To be sure, supposing World of Warcraft were to get achievements,
But isn't the whole game just achievements already?
So this enters this delicious world of meta it's so wonderful. It's so meta that there would be achievements in an achievement-based game.
Pretty much the game is achievements. It's like, kill the guy, get this item. Kill that guy, get this item.
No. That's not how WoW works at all.
Uh-huh.
You obviously have never played WoW. It's
sure.
get a bunch of people together, kill all these guys. One of you will get an item. Do the exact same thing until everyone gets the item.
That's even worse.
But supposing that were you to get to level 15 without dying, you would get 50-something points. Or were you to complete 10 quests in the Howling Fjord, you would get 50-something points.
But isn't the game already give you something if you complete a quest?
Yes, it gives you something, but it doesn't give you something points.
See, that's the thing with all these games, really, on the fundamental level, is that they're not games of winning and losing. They are games of do stuff and get meaningless rewards no matter what you do.
See, now here's the thing. It's no different than SimCity in that regard. No,
You can lose at SimCity.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can be...
No matter how badly...
You can run out of money.
No, because no matter how badly you're
You
going...
cheat.
No, you can just bulldoze everything down to like a couple of little zones, your one little power plant, and then leave the game on for like a week or two, and then you'll get enough money back to start playing again.
Yeah, but the year will advance so far into the future.
Who cares? That doesn't do anything. Year doesn't mean jack.
The thing is, if SimCity wasn't a broken game, it's theoretically at least a game of design, and you have to come up with a better design that works.
The problem is, it's a game of there is a perfect design simply implemented.
That is a problem, yes. If it was much more complicated and difficult to come up with a good design.
Because if it wasn't, then it would just be a sandbox with multiple paths.
At least the sandbox is better than manual labor for meaningless reward.
I don't share your vitriol when it comes to World of Warcraft. Because
I don't see you playing it.
Well, here's the thing. If you remove the grind from it and you just look at playing the game, like let's say I could just, if I was subscribed to WoW, I could anytime arbitrarily pick a level, pick a class, pick a race, pick all my equipment, and then do whatever raids I want to do with all my friends who have picked similar levels. Then the game would probably be pretty damn fun, and I could see playing it with my friends.
I don't think so, because then what would be, you're doing this thing, right? You just picked the best equipment there is. It's basically no different than the World of Warcraft card game, which is where if you have enough money, you can pick whatever cards you want, and it's just a matter. It's basically rock, paper, scissors, but you see the scissors, so you just decide to throw a rock.
Not really.
How not really?
Because in this case, it's kind of like playing Team Fortress, where, all right, we're all going to do this thing. I mean, basically, once I'd done every raid a couple of times, I would have no reason to play again. But at least I wouldn't have to level up to get to that point. Because then it's, all right, let's go on this mission. It's a lot like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. You get all your friends together, and you go on this kind of mission together. And when you're done, you're done. And hey, we beat it. Now let's do the next one. Let's all meet on Saturday and do some other one. If you remove all the doing something more than once in order to get items, or doing something more than once in order to get levels, or basically any sort of non-arbitrary advancement, I would be all about WoW until I'd done every raid a couple times.
No, the thing about the thing that Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is a good example, because it's basically WoW, except there is one key difference that separates it from WoW, which is why the newer Crystal Chronicles is the suck, is that it actually, the whole mechanic of having the secret information based on which player you are, and one person has the map and someone else has to carry the basket.
I don't think that was the only thing that made that game
That was
great.
the only thing that made that game worthwhile.
I don't think so at all.
I think so,
I patently
absolutely.
disagree with you.
No, that is the only reason that game was not terrible. The fact that it forced you to have set up this sort of interaction between the people and this cooperation. Whereas in WoW, it's pretty much you just learn the exact job you're supposed to do, and then you just do the job repeatedly.
But you can do the exact same thing in Crystal Chronicles because those maps and all that secret information was in the end useless, and all it did was make the game faster. It didn't actually help you ever.
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
All you had to do was always turn left, and you would always solve every puzzle and get to the end. All the maps did was give you people an excuse to talk to each other. What made that game great was the fact that you'd get 4 friends together, and you would be in this shit together. And also, it ended.
Nah. Well, ending is important too. But
it had a good theme, it had good style, and it was you take 4 people and you play together. I also feel that Crystal Chronicles was only worth playing if you played through it in like 1 or 2 goes, like a group of people, one group of people, all the way through. And also if you ignored pretty much all the advancements of the game other than the advancement that occurs naturally in the course of playing. I feel as though World of Warcraft would be as fun as Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles if I did not have to ever level and no one else ever had to level, and you could never get anything that affected the game in the game.
That would make it a little bit better, but it still would not make it good.
Why not?
Because you're not doing it. All you're doing is manual labor.
You realize the only manual labor is the grind.
It's no different. So the only difference is I'm doing the same exact labor, only now numbers don't go up because I control the numbers.
Doing any one raid or any one part of the game once would be fun. No less fun than doing any one level in Crystal Chronicles. Doing the same
the levels in Crystal Chronicles is annoying. The fun part was trying to figure out where to go and try to figure out, okay, you take this, competing for all those the items at the end, like, oh, you're gonna take that one, and sort of bickering with each other.
I don't know.
The actual game itself didn't offer anything much.
I kind of disagree again. It was okay.
Anyway.
I don't understand why you why you get so freaked out about World of Warcraft every time it comes up, and you get so angry about it and just vitriol left and right.
Because I don't like. I had this. It's just World of Warcraft happens to be the most popular big phenomena, so that's why it gets most of the vitriol. I feel the same way about every game that has the same characteristics.
And yet you want to play like some board games we have that are just worse in many regards gameplay-wise.
No, they're not.
But anyway, I feel as though WoW wouldn't be that bad. And my question to WoW players, I'll end it on this at least, to all of you out there, look, I honestly answer this question for me. I'm really, really curious. I'll put up a poll or something on the forum about this. If World of Warcraft were changed, it was the exact same game, except that every single player could arbitrarily choose their level and equipment at any time. Well, at any time outside of a raid. Once you start a raid, you're stuck with what you got. But you could just arbitrarily choose level and arbitrarily choose equipment. Would you continue to play World of Warcraft, and do you think it would make it a better or worse game? Answering that question will tell me a lot about what kind of person you are, I think.
I imagine that most people would do that, go around and sort of see everything there was in the game, and then stop playing. But
yes, you know what? Because then the game would be almost exactly like Crystal Chronicles. With more people.
Well, the other thing, right, is that I've noticed there are some people in the world, right? Like, look at Counter-Strike, right? There are some people who play Counter-Strike and they don't cheat and they actually want like a good game, right? And like if I cheated at Counter-Strike, like I had a computer once that it was at like a LAN party or whatever, and it was all full of Counter-Strike cheats. And you play it a few times with all the cheats, and you just shoot everyone in the head, and you win, and you win, and you win, and whatever. And it got boring really quick. But there are other people where, with the cheats, like they're having fun forever with those cheats. Like it's never unfun for them, right? And I imagine the kind of person who enjoys, the cheating game continuously, is the one kind of person, and the person who can't deal with the cheating game is the other kind of person.
See, I don't know how relevant it is, though. I mean, sure, there would be some people, but I guess the other extension you could have is every raid would have a level cap. So it's not. So then the pre-game meta grind crap no longer exists, because no longer do you have to do repetitive tasks.
But how is that any different from the World of Warcraft card game, which we were bashing?
Because that's not a multiplayer game. That's not.
It is. When you do those raid thingies, it's a bunch of people together versus the one guy who has the raid deck.
Well, if you do that specific aspect of the game, which we didn't play and can't talk a lot about,
Yeah, but we pretty much confirmed that the way the game works is a matter of once you know what's in the raid deck, it's just a matter of constructing your deck to beat it. As in a rock, paper, scissors, where you know the other guy has scissors,
but
so
at
you
the same
choose
time,
rock and you win.
That could probably be really fun.
So if I know the raid is full of fire, I choose all the water equipment and I win.
What you do is it would be just as fun as playing Hero Quest-like games or beat the game games where, all right, here's the game. You play
Hero
it once.
Quest is terrible.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. You just got to add a lot of style to it and just get into it.
No, it's terrible. What's the You want to play Hero Quest now?
The only problem with
Suddenly?
Hero Quest was when we decided to iterate through it perfectly. And WoW is a lot better than Hero Quest in that regard. Even the card game is a lot better than Hero Quest.
Only because it's more complex. But fundamentally it's no different.
But I just don't get fundamentally, because all games fundamentally are either completely arbitrary, completely stalemate, or completely solved.
Yeah.
So why, if you argue at that level, then there's no point in even talking about games anymore.
Yeah, there are, because there are games that are not solved.
So then play those games.
I do.
Not really. You don't play Go. You don't really play chess.
Because Go's not fun. Chess is solved.
No, it isn't.
It's mostly solved.
No, it isn't.
It's solved enough.
No, it's not.
There are only so many possible board configurations.
Yes, and we have not explored it fully. Chess is nowhere near solved.
No, they're computers that beat everyone. That's good enough for me.
No.
Whatever.
Things of the day. So, Yuko and Anath were out along with Conrad, and we went to the Mocha and all that stuff this weekend. But one thing that Yuko showed us in the litany of, because it's kind of a front row crew. Instead of like shaking hands when we all get together, we all show each other all the internet things we've seen recently.
Yeah, and some people have all seen the same sort of stuff because they don't go to good sites, and other people have seen all sorts of crazy things because they're internet addicts with nothing to do at work.
But at the same time, yes, Scott. Some of us, we're in different circles on the internet. But this is a game, it's on Pixel Jam, called Dino Run. And the premise is pretty simple. Xgen Studios and all that. Basically, you take a little yellow dinosaur and you run away from the apocalypse. Now, I'm not going to go into any depth about this game. You should probably just play it and you'll figure out what's going on pretty quick. All I really want to say is that doom surfing is really fun.
Oh, yeah.
The way the game handles, it's very pixely.
Really good controls.
And it reminds me a lot of Passage, it's very artistic, and while it's pixely, it's very stylistically awesome.
The gameplay reminds me of this one level from Kid Chameleon. If you haven't played Kid Chameleon, it's one of the great old Genesis platform games that has been forgotten. And if you should really go get it, maybe that should be on the Virtual Console. I wonder if it is or isn't.
I don't know, but the effect of the apocalypse when it's coming up behind you is actually really scary. And as you get into the higher levels, this game is so unnerving, and all your muscles just tense up, and it's like,
Yeah, even though it's primarily a game of holding right, but those Stegosauri, oh man.
And it gets a lot harder as time goes on, Don't worry.
The other thing is the game has some interesting stuff you can do that you might not realize. Like, there'll be a pterodactyl, and if they come at you, that's bad, like in Joust. But at the same time, sometimes they'll pick you up and carry you farther ahead to help you out. It's pretty, if you do the right thing.
Also, your little avatar, the dinosaur, is super cute.
He's all right.
He is super cute. You don't understand.
He's not that cute.
Yes, he is.
Anyway.
He waves at you, and he wears a crown once you've won.
Really? I gotta get the crown. All right. So when we were at the Mocha, right, there was some other stuff going down in the city. I don't know if you remember this, but way back in the day, I don't know how way back in the day, but these people played this game of Pac-Manhattan, where they combine sort of GPS, computer, portable technology, but also the real world and the street and human beings to sort of make a game, right? So people would actually walk around the street to control the Pac-Mans and the ghosts, you see. And that resulted in a pretty fun game. So they had this event this weekend. This is the problem of doing shows unfrequently, is that I talk about things after they happened. Isn't that sad? Called Come Out and Play Festival 2008. It was this past weekend, June 6th through 8th. And they had a whole bunch of games sort of like this. And they were all sort of pretty cool, and you can read about them and see pictures on their Flickr group and all that good stuff of all the cool sort of outdoor, synergistic, cool games these people were playing. And I like this kind of action, and if it wasn't Mocha this weekend, I probably would have been doing this. In fact, it was sort of a crazy weekend. There were like all these events in the city happening simultaneously. There was also a Kaiju Big Battle on Saturday, I believe. All right, so way back in the day on the NES, if you were a cool kid, you had River City Ransom. And if you had River City Ransom, you probably also had Super Dodgeball.
And possibly World Cup.
Possibly World Cup. But you noticed, even if you were a dumb kid, that these games looked familiar and similar for some reason. Maybe perhaps because they're both made by the same company or part of the same series of games.
Now, we're not going to get into the whole history of the Kunio-kun franchise.
No, we are not. But we're going to talk just about, mostly, Dodgeball. Because there is a brand new game that just came out for the DS, Super Dodgeball Brawlers. And we both got it.
Now, this game is based pretty much straight up on Super Dodgeball for the NES, which, well, that's how you all would have known it. And when I was a kid, this was probably one of my favorite games ever. I got to the point where I could beat the entire game on hard without ever once being hit by any ball at any point.
I didn't get that good, but I could definitely beat the game on hard.
The best part was when you beat the game on hard, well, on any setting, but especially hard, without losing anybody. Then after you beat the Soviet Russians, then you
fight
had
the
to
evil
fight
team.
the Shadow Team.
Which is your team, only evil.
And black and white with lightning in the background and pretty much some of the best music in any NES game ever.
Yeah, that was good. I wonder if you can do a similar thing in the DS one. I haven't made it happen yet.
I haven't really tried because the single player is kind of crap. But anyway.
Yeah, single player is pretty crap. Anyway, so Super Dodgeball. Check this. The way this thing works, it doesn't work like the dodgeball you play in gym class, right? Which I like the gym dodgeball you play in gym class better as a game, but it doesn't work as a video game. This works as a video game. The way it is there's a field with 2 squares that are even in size, and each square has 4 guys.
I'm curious if anyone out there is so far removed from gaming that you've never played Super Dodgeball.
I'm just describing it real quick.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
And the 4 guys, if they all get hit with the ball until enough that their life is completely lost,
well,
they
3
die.
guys.
All right, 3.
It was only 4, and the new game has 4, and I guess the original arcade game had 4, but the original arcade game is weird. We're not going to talk about it.
So the original NES only had 3, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. I seen. Anyway, the new DS one has 4. It says 3 or 4 guys in the box, and if you try to hit the other team's 3 or 4 guys in the box with the ball, and then they die eventually if you hit them enough with powerful enough moves, and then if you eliminate all their guys in the box, you win. You also have 3 guys on the other sides of the box. So basically, the 2 boxes are connected. So it's your 3 or 4 guys versus their 3 or 4 guys. But then you also have 1 guy above the other team, 1 guy below the other team, and 1 guy behind the other team to sort of help you out. And they have 1 guy behind you, 1 guy above you, and 1 guy below you. And you just throw the ball back and forth, try and hit the other guy. And there's super moves, and you can do jumping super moves, and you can do regular throws. You can do tricky stuff like by passing the ball, like jump up like you're going to do a super move, but then pass the ball back to your team, and then they throw a super move. Or throw the ball over their heads, then throw it back over their heads, and then throw it at them.
Yeah, but regardless of all that, at least we'll talk about the original first. What made the original game great was that it had a single player, and it had a couple of different single player, multiplayer modes, but nothing really. The only thing that was really good about the game was playing versus with another person, because it was one of those direct, straight up, I am playing against my little brother, and one of us is going to win.
And the game was it was all about skills of button pressing timing. I mean, you would throw the super move, and everyone can see the super move coming from a mile away. But could you push the button with the correct timing to catch the ball?
And the one great thing is, unlike the situation we're in now, like Scott is with Dr. Mario, or I'm with Advance Wars, or the way I am with Gemfire and all those stupid games that no one in the world likes but me, everyone I knew was just as into Super Dodgeball as I was. So, all of my little friends, we'd all get together and play dodgeball, all the time.
Yep.
And it'd always be because you pick teams at the same time, and the teams are not even at all. And it'd always be this thing, a lot of times,
Russia.
I would very purposefully pick very quickly and pick the weakest ass team, which, by the way, was England. And then the other player is in a conundrum. Do they similarly defect and take another crappy team like India? Or do they decide to just be a loser and pick Russia and try to beat me?
Yeah.
Because if they pick Russia and they win, whatever.
It's a lot like playing Mario Kart with the Wii Wheel instead of using the nunchuck Wiimote combination, because if you lose with the Wii Wheel, Well, of course you lost. You're using the Wii wheel. If you lose with England against Russia, of course you lost. You were England. They were Russia. But if you win with England against Russia, whoa, that's like using the Wiimote to beat someone with the better controls. I mean, the Wii wheel. Anyway.
The game was super awesome. I remember, like, and everyone had different super moves, but the game was kind of undocumented back then. And, no one seemed to really remember that you had your air move and your ground move, but the Steve on everyone's team, because all the teams were kind of the same, had 3 moves. He had 2 ground moves and 1 air move.
Yep. The other thing about the game is that no matter how good anyone got, no one ever got to be perfect. Like, when we were in the Duck Hunt tournament, we were perfect. But it's Super Duck...
I don't know.
In multiplayer, someone will always...
At Super Dodgeball.
You will always, eventually, even if 2 people are great, throw the super move, catch it. Throw the super move, catch it.
Well, it would come
Try to fool them, super move, catch it.
Well, no, if you were
someone
playing,
will eventually not catch it.
Really good, like actually truly perfect or really good players were playing. It came down to who became fatigued the quickest, and games would last an hour or more until eventually someone was so tired.
But that's what dodgeball is.
Yes.
It's just like a real dodgeball.
When I was a kid, I'll tell you this though, I thought that because I had this game, when we would play dodgeball in the yard with all our friends, we would play it like Super Dodgeball. I'd run up to the center and jump and throw, and that was totally not a good idea.
That was totally awesome.
But beyond that, I always thought for the longest time when I was a little kid, because of this game, that when you were in gym class in school, in elementary school, playing dodgeball, that wasn't real dodgeball. That was wuss dodgeball for little kids. And somehow I thought that there was an Olympic sport, real dodgeball. And I used to, as far as I was concerned, the rules were when someone can't get up anymore and the entire team is knocked unconscious, then your side won. And I thought that this was based on that. And I thought that they played with a volleyball or maybe a medicine ball.
Maybe that's the ticket to get all the nerds to play. Maybe we should play some dodgeballs.
Well, I ordered a regulation kickball.
See, but that's enough for one ball. See, the kind of dodgeball. Oh, maybe we should just talk about the dodgeballs we played as kids.
That's a separate show.
I know, but I got like a lot of dodgeball things to talk about.
Yeah, we'd play in the gym where if you could make a basket, then you let people
Let's make it dodgeball week. We're doing it Thursday this week. Thursday we'll talk about dodgeball and gym class.
Not Barack Obama and the fact that American politics is finally going in the right direction for the first time in a long time.
No.
I'm so excited.
Anyway.
I'm so
People want to hear about the video
excited.
games, all right?
Just can't hide it.
So, the dodgeball for the DS is largely the same as the original dodgeball. However, there are many improvements and changes.
1, the super moves there are a lot more of them, and if you're good, you can't just catch all of them.
Yeah, I mean, the one that Rim hates the most is the one where you run up, you throw it, and it looks like I faked it and I passed the ball just to the other teammate on the other side. But it makes the super move noise, and that's the hint you need to know to turn around, because it looks like a normal pass that's going slow, but then it turns around and goes whoosh and hits you in the ass and does a lot of damage. I love that one the best. You got a favorite super move in there?
I don't know. My favorite super move was still, and they have it in this game, but it's not quite the same. Because I played this game so much, the original, that I had like personalities for all the people on all the teams.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And all the moves meant stuff to me. And to me, the nuts shot, like that downward angle disc that the good guy has, like the main character good guy, that was like the good guy move. Like that was the noble, awesome move of good guy.
That is the noble move, indeed. However, it is also the easily caught move. That's another thing, is that the moves...
I always felt like that game did more damage against the evil team at the end, even though I know it totally didn't.
Yeah. Here's another thing, right, is that the super moves in the game sort of have this nice balance to them. For example, there's one move where all it is, it's a straight throw, but it's really fast. It's easy to catch, actually. But if it hits guys, it goes straight through them. So if the other team is all in a clump, you can hit like everyone on the other team with one throw.
However, that one's really, really easy to catch.
But it also doesn't do a lot of damage.
However, if you use that with the Neketsu ultimate shot...
Yeah.
I wiped out an entire team in one shot once.
Exactly. That is the one thing that has been added to this new DS version.
But can be turned off, which I love.
Yeah, everything can be turned off in this, which is cool. Is this ultimate shot business where you have this meter and it builds up. and catching balls and doing certain things builds up your meter.
Also, dicking around and not refusing to throw and like just not throwing the ball makes it go down eventually.
Yep.
Which is great.
It is great.
One thing
It forces you to hurry up and throw.
One time to try to win a game against my brother that's been going on for a while, I refused to play anymore. And I just stood there with the ball and I basically told him, either you're going to give up or I'm going to sit here until we starve to death.
Anyway, so you get this meter that fills up, and when it fills up, you get this super move, and you can choose actually prior to the match which super move you would like. One of the moves is like super defense and catching for like a minute or so.
They're all stupid except the ultimate shot.
The ultimate shot is pretty much you get one shot to throw the ball, and if it actually hits someone, they die no matter what. And that is the move that everyone picks because how could you not pick guaranteed kill if you hit someone with the next throw?
But
I mean, come on.
My favorite thing to do, in the original game at least, was to run backwards with the accelerator ball that I never really saw until the Russians used it against me in the end of the game. But you run backwards and throw it from the other side, and it would get way fast.
Yeah, because it's an accelerator. It starts out slow and gets fast.
It didn't actually do any more damage, I don't think, but it felt real good.
And it was a lot harder to catch when it was going fast. So it would start like way in the back, go slow, speed up. Oh my God, it's too fast to catch it. And it's a lot harder to catch that than the balls with the constant speed, or the wobbly balls or anything like that. All right, so what else do they add in this DS version?
Punching, kicking, and sticks and shit you can throw at each other.
Oh yeah, that stuff is kind of good, right? The punching and kicking though is a little bit okay and a little bit not okay.
I think the thing is you can turn it off, so I can't complain about it at all, but it adds this extra element to the game because thing is the single player game is just it's not worth it except to be good at the game and when there's no one to play with. The only reason to ever play this game is multiplayer against other people.
Yep.
The only reason to play the single player is to get good at multiplayer with other people.
Yep.
Don't even bother with the leveling up, getting items.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I liked. If you play the one-player game, there's leveling up at items and other bullshit.
It's straight
right?
up like River City Ransom Office. Awesome. Buy nice items and such.
Right. But it's unnecessary because when it comes time to do multiplayer, right? Let's say I play through the single player with Naketsu High School, right? Okay, I level them up big time. Now I want to play multiplayer. On the team select screen, Naketsu High School will actually appear twice. There'll be white and red versions. The red version is the leveled up version, and the white version is the flat, even version. So you can play with your leveled up stuff if you want to do that sort of game, or you can play straight up a fair game, which is what, of course, real men do.
It's kind of like Initial D. You turn off the boost.
Exactly. Now, the one thing we neglected to mention about both dodgeball games so far is the Brawl Schoolyard mode. You see,
yes.
In the original Dodgeball, there was a schoolyard mode where basically, instead of having this sort of structured team game, it was an every man for himself game. And it would just be an open schoolyard. Everyone can run wherever they want and throw the ball at whoever they want, and the last man alive is the winner. And this mode comes back in the new Dodgeball with a fierce intensity because for the first time, it's 8-player wireless multiplayer. 8 people running around the schoolyard independently of each other, trying to kill each other.
I don't think you understand how awesome that is.
The hardest part is getting 8 people.
Planet Gaga.
Gaga, indeed.
God, you should see this shit. Deep in other people. Hey, talking about disease. We don't need it.
We do need it because it's so awesome to run around 8 separate people throwing shit at each other, plus the kicking and punching in that. Oh, come on. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Plus just playing multiplayer against other people because one thing that's really good is you can customize your team in this perfectly fair Baseball Simulator 1000 style of pick the special moves, pick the names, pick the way they look. And let me tell you, you think you're going to pick the way they look? There are so many faces and hairstyles.
Like you choose the hair, the eyes, the head, the skin color, the all kinds of stuff, basically.
And there's so many options. It's so fantastic. I gotta admit, I'm very.
All right, let's tell people what teams we made.
First I made the Romans. I dressed them up in togas. They had cool names. I got sick of that real quick. So then I made Da Mecha Dodgeball.
Oh man, so you've got what? Usahara.
I've got Usahara, who can jump really high and he's real fast, and Uruno, who I made his stats all 1, but I don't use it.
Oh, so you made the stats actually match the characters.
To a point.
No, okay.
But I also made Rim, who was just really good.
See, on my team, I made Dodge Dango. And you see all of my characters. All right, check out. The 4 guys I have in the box are all Zelda bosses. I've got Gliok, not Dadango, but I have Manhandla.
Oh, man. Manhandla was a good
Goma.
thing.
And Dig Dogger, right? And I made them look like they're supposed to look.
No,
Dig Dogger,
Pole's voice.
No. Check. All right, Dig Dogger is like has like an X for an eyeball, and he's sort of yellow with spikiness on him. And Goma has like this weird chupa. What's it called?
Mexican wrestler.
He's got a lucha libre mask that makes it look like he has one eye.
You were gonna say chupacabra.
No, I knew it's lucha, not
yes.
Anyway,
Well, why did you said chupa?
I was close. Anyway, I made them all look like the bosses, right? Then the 3 guys I have on the defense side are Keese, Like, and Staphlos. And the one guy looks like a skeleton. The other guy has like blue bat hair that looks like a bat. And the like is just sort of blobby. And I totally made them look like the Zelda guys.
Thing is, I think I'm going to make my final team that I'm going to go with, and I think it's going to be Cromartie High School.
Oh, that's a good one.
But,
because there are plenty of pompadours in this game for your selection.
So many different styles of pompadour.
I mean, if you're a pompadour enthusiast, buy this game for no other reason than the hairstyles.
Pretty much, if we're gonna, endorse this game or whatever. The single player is really fun if you're still in the stage of your life where River City Ransom is fun for a non-nostalgic way, in that you are willing to level up and bullshit buy stuff and you like that sort of thing.
You don't even need to do the leveling up. You can ignore it because you can beat the single player without that shit.
What I'm saying is, if you like that stuff, the game will cater to you. But where I think the only reason to truly buy this game, as opposed to borrowing it from someone, is if you plan to play seriously against other people all the time.
Yeah, I bought this game for full price on Amazon, when it was announced, and I pre-ordered it and everything, and that that was okay for us because we have to review it and we're big dodgeball fans or whatever, and we have plenty of money. Even if you want to play this game, I mean, the game is good. For the DS, the Super Dodgeball Brawlers, but I really suggest you wait until it's a little discounted before you.
The only reason to
pay
buy it
$15, $20 for it, not $30.
If you want to be the very best.
Yes, I don't think you need to really be the very best at this. It's sort of
I've been playing on hard now with the team that has all 1 stats just to practice.
Oh, that's pretty good. I put all my guys at like even stats just to, because I'm not sure which stats mean what.
The stats matter a lot. Just on a lark, I made one guy, I put like ball speed up to 32, and the ball was like wickedly fast.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like, okay, if I put the ball speed up to 32, I'm going to have like no dodging ability. But it's like, all right, will that, is it worth it? Will I win more often if I have an incredibly fast ball that's hard to dodge? I got to figure that stuff out. Anyway. Super Dodgeball Brawlers, original Super Dodgeball. Yeah, people, go out and get the ROM of the original Super. Isn't it? Maybe it's on the WiiWare.
I don't think it is yet because I probably would have bought
console.
If it is and I didn't buy it, I consider that a failing in my life. This game is so, like, to me and my little brother, if nothing else, this game was like the best fucking. It was this and Aerobiz.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Super Dodgeball, either, I don't know if it's on Virtual Console, but on ROMs at least, or Super Dodgeball Brawlers. You should at least play some of these and figure out what the deal is with this, because this is sort of a semi-big deal for cool video game peoples.
And on that note, we're probably going to stop because this crazy thunderstorm is rolling through. And
Thank God.
And I'm not, I haven't hooked the Marantz back up since Mocha. So if the power went out, I would pretty much have like 30 seconds to get the show saved before the UPS died.
Oh, good God, save. I'm a god.
Yes.
The end.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.